Hey
Hey everyone, welcome to Across the Association. I'm here with Austin.
what's up, everybody?
And today we're just going to be recapping the NBA trade deadline with five trades that I find really interesting. And the first one is going to be Anthony Davis to the Wizards. So obviously this one is maybe the biggest shock out of all the trades at the deadline. People thought it was going to be a different big man with Giannis, but it ended up being Anthony Davis. And the Wizards starting lineup is going to look a lot different, especially now with Trae Young. They've been making some really big moves. Austin, I just want to hear your kind of first thoughts and reactions to this trade.
I mean, obviously, this brings some excitement to DC, in the NBA because, like, you get Trey Young a couple weeks ago. Now you get Anthony Davis. It's like, the Wizards. I mean, people would think they're a very deep roster, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they're as deep as everybody says they are, and as deep as a team should be that's picking in the top five every year. Um, I just, I like this. I think. The Mavs, it's like you look at what they got for Luka now, and it's like kind of come on, guys. Like, even though they did kind
Yeah.
of result in Cooper Flag, but it's just I don't really know how to feel about this. I feel like I mean, if you're Anthony Davis, I feel like you'd rather go to another team. And the
Yeah,
Wizards, I'm still gonna be
definitely.
honest. Like, I'm like Davis isn't the same player he was like pre-COVID. Um, Trey Young, I mean, he's pretty inconsistent, I feel like. And it's just if you're a Wizards fan, I mean, I mean, it's gonna fill the arena at least because it's Anthony Davis and Trey Young, but I don't really have much to think about this. It's just kind of like meh.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I actually kind of like this trade for both sides. So I like it for the Mavericks. Obviously, you get a lot of picks, and Anthony Davis was never going to work out. It was just,
Oh yeah.
I mean, we don't even have to get into the Luka trade. It's obviously terrible what hasn't been said, but you still got picks back. You still got a lot of return, so that's something you could use for the future. And then for the Wizards, like this could be a really fun team next year if healthy, which is a big if. Obviously, Trey's been out for a lot of this year. Anthony Davis is consistently injured, but listen to the starting lineup. I think it's actually really fun. So not Trey Johnson, Trey Young, Trey Johnson, who has been pretty good this year,
Yeah, good,
Bilal
good.
Coulibaly, Anthony Davis, and then Alex Sarr. So here's what's really interesting about this lineup is you have two guys, Trey and Anthony Davis, who are obviously really good at the peak of their games, but kind of not getting up there in age, but aren't, as young as the other guys in this lineup. Then you also have players like Trey Johnson, Alex Sarr, who've been pretty good for the Wizards, good young talent. And you kind of pair them with these two vets. So look, I'm not saying they're poised to make a playoff run, but I could definitely see them being like a 6 seed next year, which considering how bad they are now, I think they're the 14 seed with
Yeah.
14 wins or something like that. So if you're a Wizards fan, this is actually pretty exciting and can be a really fun time for them. But do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. Like you said, I'm assuming they're fully healthy next year. I do think they can, get in the playoffs. Don't think they'll make
Yeah,
it past the first round because a year from now,
definitely
Anthony
not.
Davis is going to be a year older, and as you get older, you get more fragile and injured as an athlete. But I don't. I get why the Wizards made this trade. They want some excitement. I get why the Mavs traded Davis away. I feel like it was the obvious thing they were going to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just I feel like this is just more of a big name, which is why people are kind of, all excited about it.
Yeah, this is probably the second biggest name that was traded this deadline. But I'll say one last thing about this Wizards deal. What I do like is that, okay, if things go, if things just massively screw up with Anthony Davis and Trae Young, you still have three really good young players in your core. So this means you can still build on your future without having to, like the players they gave up weren't, obviously they gave up on a lot of picks. That's not ideal. But if the Wizards are bad, like people think they will be, or, like at least not 6 seed level good, then they'll just, they'll find themselves back in the lottery. They can make some moves there with still three really good young players. But that being said, as I mentioned, Anthony Davis was the second biggest name that was traded this deadline. I think the biggest name was Harden, the
Oh
Harden
yeah.
and Garland trade. I mean, this is just one of this came out of nowhere. No one
Yeah,
expected
it was
this. I mean,
confusing to
obviously,
me at first, but as the more it went on, the more I kind of liked it for both teams, actually. It was quite interesting.
I
Um,
agree. I really like it for both sides.
yeah, no, I mean, I'll start off with the Clippers. I mean, Garland's, obviously a lot younger than Harden, and the Clippers are, very old, an older team. So bringing some youth to that team, even though Garland isn't that young anymore. He's still, younger than most of the kind of star players on that team. And with
Yeah.
Cleveland, it kind of gives them some more veteran presence. I mean, yeah, Donovan Mitchell's been around. Mobley's been in the NBA for quite a bit. They got some other guys, but Harden gives them that established veteran guy, someone who's been to the finals. I know it was a long time ago, but he has been there. Someone who has made deep playoff runs. So I actually like this for both teams.
I'm with you because here's the thing. If you're the Clippers, Harden wants a max, and you're not going to give him the max. He's going to be 38 or
Yeah.
39 next year. You can't get in the same, predicament the Sixers got in with Paul George. Obviously, Paul George is younger, but not as good as Harden. So you get a pretty good player in return. Darius Garland is good. Obviously, he's been injured, and the Cavs didn't think that he could, I guess, take them to that next level, which I kind of understand. That backcourt of Garland and Mitchell is a bit precarious. I think
Yeah.
it's
Harden will
difficult to have a
freshen
back.
things up.
Yeah, it'll freshen things up exactly, but also that's a backcourt that can't really play defense, and that's really tough. And I'm not saying Harden is the greatest defender, but he's a lot taller and he's a better playmaker. He's a better scorer. He's pretty much better than Darius Garland in every aspect of the game. But also, if you're the Cavs, you're in win now mode. You've
Oh
kind of
yeah.
had this core for like 5 years now, since kind of like 21, 22.
hmm
So this is your time to make a move. And again, for the Clippers, I want to reiterate, avoiding a massive contract and getting a young star, is a really good move. So I really like this for both sides.
Yeah, and I think this could be one of those deals where, in a couple months or years we look back and we're like, wonder what? That was a win-win for both teams. All right, next you want to get
Yeah,
into the Jaren Jackson one because that's been my favorite trade of this
I was
cycle.
just about to say that. Yeah. So, well, if it's your favorite trade, what do you have to say about it?
Oh, the
I'll
Jazz. I
let
mean,
you
that's a
take the.
phenomenal move by the Jazz. And
Yeah,
Jaren Jackson, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Great defensive player. I mean, he's in contention for defensive player of the year every year. I believe he won it about a couple years ago. I mean, he is just phenomenal, Jaren Jackson. And
yeah,
the Grizzlies, let's just be honest, they weren't going anywhere with this core. I think the prime for this core passed with all the off. I mean, I know Jaws at the center of this, but kind of the off the court issues and just ever since they lost to
yeah,
the Lakers. I think their kind of time has passed, like a couple years ago in the playoffs. But in Jaren Jackson, I know last week we recorded our video on Giannis. I kind of shit on Utah being a small market team, but
yeah.
look at this. You got Laurie Markkanen, you got Jaren Jackson. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name. But you got a good guard as well. Like it's I the Jazz are going to be a scary team in a way.
Yeah, they're also a really. I know I said this about a lot of teams that they have fun lineups, but this is the thing with this deadline is a lot of teams made moves to have more interesting lineups and just changing it up a little bit. But with the Jazz, I agree with you. It's a very fun lineup. You obviously have Jaren Jackson Jr. and now you have Lonzo Ball as well, which is a bit random, but I like the move. You have Walker Kessler. You have Laurie Markkinen, Kevontae George, Ace Bailey. Obviously, Ace hasn't been exactly what the Jazz want him to be,
hmm
but again, still young talent, and
Still a young
Keontae
guy.
George is really still a young guy, and Keontae George is really kind of taking the lead here. But I kind of like this trade because of what it indicates about the NBA right now. If you look at all of the top teams in the NBA, so let's just look at the top four teams in the West. So you have the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Rockets, and the Spurs.
hmm
The Nuggets don't have the biggest lineup, but if you look at the Thunder, the Spurs, and the Rockets, these are all teams where like their small forward to center are all like 6'10" or above, or
Yeah,
just really tall players.
and their
So
guards
the
are big
Jazz are
too.
exactly. So the Jazz are kind of recognizing that, okay, well, if we want to compete in our conference, we need some really big players who can guard all of these other, teams with really big players. So I think it's interesting that the Jazz make this move, and the Jazz can kind of pull it off. Like Jaren Jackson Jr., again, amazing defender, always in the depoy conversation. Walker Kessler, Laurie Markkinen. That is a really strong, like, I guess, small forward through center kind of lineup.
Yeah,
So I really like this trade for the Jazz. I'm kind of confused. I mean, obviously the Grizzlies, are just blowing it up at this point, but
yeah,
yeah, still, I'm kind of sad to see the end of the Grizzlies era, but still, really
yeah.
good move for the Jazz.
Yeah, and just one more kind of thing about this trend. I know this year, the Jazz aren't going to do anything major, but next year, all of a sudden, you got, like you said, like that 3-4-5, and the lineup's great. And if Ace Bailey
Yeah,
becomes something, you're looking at one of the best starting fives in the NBA. The Jazz do have some depth. If they have some young guys get them in more minutes this year because the season's kind
yeah.
of a bust, so get them some experience. All of a sudden, next year, I mean, I know the West is tough, but would you be surprised if I told you the Jazz are like a 4 or 5 seed in the West next year?
No, I definitely wouldn't be surprised, and I think that's partially also due to the fact that they're the 13th seed right now, and they have one of the worst records in the NBA. So they'll probably be going back to the lottery. They'll get another good
I know
player
it's another
in
guy to
what's one of the
fill out.
most,
And they don't even need a
yeah,
starter, in my opinion. Assuming Ace Bailey can develop and not be a great player, but be like a good, like a solid three in my like a solid
yeah,
like third best player on a playoff team. I mean, you get a lottery, you don't even need the starter. You can just get a really reliable sixth man. All of a sudden, like Jazz,
yeah.
scary team.
Yeah, and I think right now I would argue Ace Bailey is actually the worst player in this lineup, but he's
Oh
still
yeah.
decent. Like he's not a bad player. So having him as the worst player in your lineup is really not, not the worst thing ever. That means there are four other really good players in this lineup.
Yeah.
So I think like this is probably the most interesting move at the deadline, or one of.
Oh,
But
100%.
next I want to talk about one that's a bit sad for me as a Sixers fan. Jared McCain to the Thunder.
Oh, can I start with this one?
Of course, go for
I
it.
don't understand this at all from the Sixers' perspective. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Jared McCain, I mean, I feel like he brought some positivity to the locker room. I know he wasn't ever going to be like a Tyrese Maxey or a Joel Embiid for you guys, but he could be like a decent, pretty decent player. Like, I'm not saying he's going to like be a star, but he's a guy that I feel like, you're in a deep playoff run. Like we were saying, the Sixers could possibly do this year. You need someone to step up for a game. I thought that could have been Jared McCain. Like, you need someone that can put up, maybe 28 and 6 for game. Like Jared McCain could do that for a couple games. And I just I don't understand this. And with the Thunder, it's like, I mean the rich just get richer.
Yeah, I think that's the case as well. And this isn't my favorite trade, but I don't dislike it. I'm very conflicted on how to feel about this trade. Because I think Jerry McCain is such a fun player. He's great for the locker room. Great for the locker room. Obviously, he's had his struggles this season, but he was getting back the last few games. And it's just a bit sad because the Sixers are giving up on him after not even 2 full years. Like 1 year of an injury and then 1 year of him coming back and rehabbing and trying to get back to form. And then they just trade him off to the Thunder, who, like you said, the rich get richer. But that being said, I do love the haul that they got back for this. They got a first
Yeah.
round pick and three second round picks. And Daryl Morey had a press conference this morning stating that they made this move anticipating that something else would come along the line that they could use these picks for and then, trade for big talent. Probably not like Giannis level, but still
Well,
someone
can
decent.
I say something about Giannis for the Sixers?
Yeah.
And we can maybe transition to Giannis not getting traded after this. But I mean, you kind of look at it, maybe I know Sixers fans love Embiid. But if you can find a way to get Embiid out of there, because Embiid and Giannis are on very similar contracts, you got first, all of a sudden the Sixers got first rounders, second rounders. You trade Embiid. Paul George is going to be suspended, so they're not going to have to pay him for the 25 games. There's a chance. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's a great one. I'm saying it's more like 2%, but this would be a great fit. Tyrese Maxey and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
The pick and roll would be unstoppable. But
Oh,
here's the thing. I think if you're trading for Giannis, if you're the Sixers and you're trading for Giannis, Jared McCain is probably going to be part of that deal. So I
yeah.
just don't see it happening. And you're not giving up VJ. You're obviously not giving up Maxi. We're beyond that point now.
Mhm.
So who are you giving up? That's my question. And you're probably giving up some, you would have been giving up some package of Jared McCain, VJ, and Kelly Oubre. And I think for the Sixers, they just knew that wasn't going to happen. There's no way they were doing that. But this is a really interesting move. It'll be interesting to see what the Sixers do in the offseason. I think that's the biggest indicator of this trade. But also, I'm a bit astounded that the front office would make this move knowing that the fans would just hate it. No, that
Yeah.
they would just despise it in every sense of the word. And now Jared McCain's gone. And this on top of the Paul George suspension, like I can
Oh yeah.
imagine locker room chemistry is a bit low right now. Although the Sixers are 2-1 on a road trip since Paul George has been actually 3-1 since Paul George has been suspended. But still, I mean, just like blow after blow, it's tough.
Yeah, I know we talked about a couple of weeks about the Sixers maybe being a scary team that could challenge a team into the second round of the conference finals. Now it's looking like a first round exit. I know it's only been two things, the Paul George and Jared McCain. I know those aren't like the two best players in the world, but I mean, just it feel like the Sixers just played so well together. I know they're still, winning, but
I think this is good though for a lot of the younger players to kind of to get their role and figure
mhm.
out what they need to do on the team because obviously Paul George being suspended sucks. Nobody wants that. But it does give the opportunity for all of these players to kind of shine in their own respective roles, which I think is good. Especially when you want to make a deep playoff run. And I don't think this trade really has any implication on how well the Sixers will or won't do in the playoffs. Like, I think this is just purely a trade for the future. So I don't think Jared McCain was like again, I love Jared McCain. I don't think he was ever going to be as good as like even VJ Edgecombe or
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey, obviously. So this doesn't hurt my soul, but I also don't like it at the same time.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
Okay, and then for a final trade, this is actually might be the not the most depressing, but for a Sixers fan, the most depressing. Vucevic to the Celtics. Now, this is just like this is the definition of the rich getting richer. But first off, I want to preface by saying, what are the Bulls doing? This has been such a confusing
Yeah.
deadline from them.
Yeah. I mean, I want to talk more about the Celtics because the Bulls are just this point at success. They are an incompetent organization. That's what they are. That's what they have
Yeah,
become. Um, I just keep seeing all these lineups, what they're going to look like with Jason Tatum back. And we were saying last week with how good the Celtics are playing now, Jason Tatum doesn't even need to play very good. He just needs to play all right.
yeah.
Jason Tatum can be a role player now, and the Celtics have a good chance at winning this year.
That's a hot take. I don't think he could be a role player, but I do see where you're coming from. Like this team is just very well rounded.
Yeah, no, I mean this team. I mean, just the Celtics are. I mean, I think we're heading for a Celtics OKC finals matchup.
This just makes the East even more interesting. Like again, we were just talking about the Sixers. The Sixers could have a chance, even though they're not in my even top three for favorites. But how does this compare to, the roster that the Knicks have or, the Pistons? They've been playing incredibly well. So now you have three really like we were saying, we already thought the Celtics were going to go far.
Hmm.
That being said, this just makes their case even stronger and it makes the East even more fun to watch.
Oh, 100%. Hey, can we get into one more trade?
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
that I feel like a lot of Warriors fans are disappointed about, but I wouldn't call it as much as disappointed. The Kristaps Porzingis for Kuminga, and I believe it was Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm a Warriors fan, I'm not too mad about this because you get to keep Pods and you get to keep Moody. Two valuable trade assets. And you can imagine this offseason. Here's the thing. This offseason, the Giannis problems are still going to be there. You still have a chance to swing at Giannis this offseason.
Yeah. I think they know though that this is the end. I don't think they would have traded for another big power forward if they thought that they could get Giannis.
Yeah. So that's why I think it's more the Warriors holding on. I mean, eventually you're gonna have to blow it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think as Warriors fans, I mean, you probably wanted Podge gone as well, but if you're a Warriors fan, you definitely wanted Kuminga gone. I think this situation just got very stale very quick, especially for someone who like really didn't get minutes and was demanding so much. But I don't know if you'd be happy to get Porzingis. I mean, I'd imagine you would for the short term, but long term, again, we've talked about this in previous videos. I just really don't see where the Warriors go from here. It's a bit
Yeah, they're at
confusing
a
because they don't
crossroads
have
right now.
they definitely are because they don't have like the best young core, but they also don't have a bad team either. And it's really like Draymond's going to retire or get traded eventually. Steph will retire. Like all these, Jimmy will go to another team where he'll retire. Like it's just what do you when it in 2028 even like where is this team?
Why
It's
don't
it's
they
really
remind me
interesting.
of a little NFL comparison? The Steelers. They're not good
That's
enough
a
to
really
win a
good comparison.
championship, but they're not bad enough to be in a lottery to get a good draft pick. Like I just feel like
Yeah,
they're in the awkward spot and they're holding on to nothing. I know last week I
yeah,
was pumping up Giannis to the Warriors, but I was thinking about you have Curry, then you move on to Giannis, and you find another young guy, have Giannis move on to him. Like,
yeah.
and if you move to Giannis, Giannis gives you 4 or 5 really good years, and Curry still has 2 more good years. These next 2 years, you could win a championship. Now there's no chance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think their championship window is exited. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's a bit sad to see the end of this dynasty.
Hmm.
Or I don't know if everyone thinks that because not everyone likes the Warriors, but still one of the greatest dynasties ever. And I think this is kind of like dare I say the nail in the coffin for the Warriors.
Oh
This
yeah,
like this is just might be the end. Might be over.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, I think that about wraps it up. We got through all of the really big trades. Thank you for watching and thank you for joining, Austin.
No problem.
And have a good day, everyone.